Well, hello, biology teachers. Welcome to the first video in a series where I want to train on each specific part of the curriculum. And why I broke it up is they keep the video shorter. If you feel confident about one area, you can skip past that and focus on areas where you feel like you need more help. So that's the purpose of these, and this video is on the scope and sequence, which we are looking at right now. So scope and sequence, this has been updated over the past year. And for teachers that are new, I'm going to cover all the different components. First thing I want to highlight is if you are finding the text too small for you to see in this view, I have created a larger version. The idea behind this one is it's one page, everything fits in one page. But I also created a version, if you double click this image up here, that is a front back version, so I was able to increase the font a little bit. I'll use that for this video so that you can see things a little bit better. But I'm just going to start up at the top and work my way down. Most of it is self-explanatory. So first off, we have the links to the different curriculum maps. We're going to jump into those in the future videos and go through all those different processes. But you can jump into those, and that's where most of your planning resources are going to be housed. You also have the pacing here. Now your pacing is just to try to keep you on track. You'll notice that I have some slightly more bold lines that indicate when the district testing is going to take place. This is the end of Q1. You'll be taking this district quarter assessment. That assessment, I only pull questions from these 3 units, and I try not to pull too many questions from the end, just because I know pacing sometimes is a little bit hard to meet. So most of it's coming from a little bit of here and most of these. So as long as you're staying pretty close to the pacing, you should be fine. You'll notice you've got 4 weeks here at the beginning because I know teachers like to do a week of sort of classroom culture and stuff. Don't spend too long not diving into the resources. You want to eventually get into the resources and then build in those classroom culture things as you continue to start your learning. But just wanted to show you that. So you got your pacing, and it's flexible. No one's looking over your shoulder to make sure that you're exactly on pace. But just know if you find yourself more behind than ahead, what are some areas that you need to cut out so you can get caught back up. Coming down, you got your essential questions. These come straight from our resource. So what are the main questions being answered by the end of each chapter? That will help you highlight what it is that you're learning. Again, your scope and sequence isn't your day-to-day lesson planning guide. This is a more broad picture. How am I going to plan ahead? What's coming up? How does my year look? All these resources like the essential questions, proficiency scales, standards, you'll find those in the curriculum maps. So don't feel like this is a document that you have to always come back to. This is just to help get your feet grounded and be able to navigate to all the other resources. Your proficiency scales, these were actually created before my time, so I haven't updated those, but I've just kind of kept them in there. Some people find that there are some good objectives written in there, so if you still like to use those, feel free to utilize those for the time being, but I haven't done any updates on what those actually look like. And then the standard alignment, what's nice about our resource is they pretty much go in order. So Unit 1 is all based off of LS1. And then when you get into Concept 2, those are all LS2. So the book makes total sense in that order progression of going 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I've highlighted each chapter has a guiding phenomenon. That's the first activity in each chapter, is something to get students engaged and curious. They're not going to be able to answer the question right off the bat, but as they go throughout their learning, then it actually comes back to that phenomena at the end, one of the last activities before the review and the summary, and students are able to explain what's going on in that phenomenon with the knowledge that they built. So if you can structure each of your chapters around introducing this idea, how interesting, and then finishing that chapter, hey, we can now answer this question. These are a great area for CERs where students can take all that knowledge they gathered to explain this phenomenon. So look for those. They're part of the book, and I also highlight them in the curriculum map. The other thing I want to make sure you know you have access to is for planning ahead purposes. You can actually see the district quarter assessments and what questions are being pulled. I try not to change these tests year to year, so that way you as a teacher kind of know what to expect. But you guys are the experts, so sometimes I get feedback on specific questions not really being a great fit, and so there's some minor changes, but I like to keep these as consistent as possible. Obviously, don't teach to the test, but we do want to teach towards the test, which means you're aware of what students should know, and then you're planning your lessons around making sure that students have been exposed to that information. The easiest way, because most of the questions come from the resource, is to stick with the resource, stick with this pacing, and the majority of what students should know is being addressed within the lessons. And lastly, and this is kind of a new update, biology has had the same practice test for the EOC for a long time. We're hoping, cross your fingers, that this upcoming year we get little testlets, some more practice assessments. They did that for K through 8. We're hoping that they do the same for high school. But what I did is I took that full practice test, which was a ton of questions, and I broke it up based off the standards into little parts and kind of organized it by the questions found in this practice testlet are around the topic that you would find and based off the standards that you would find in quarter 1. So by the end of quarter 1, you could do this little practice test, and you'll see I've edited it so it starts off with question 2, but this is something that ties into what students are learning. And now they can be exposed to different types of questions that they might see on the EOC, and it's not as long as doing the full thing. So that might be a good way for students to start at the beginning of the year doing little practice snippets of what the EOC will look like throughout. And if the state releases any new items or testlets, I'll be sure that those get updated with that as well. If you need your answer key, by the way, just click on this little document here, and there's your answer key. You just got to match up the question numbers. All right, that's pretty much it. We're going to dive into more detail on the curriculum landing side when you click on that link. But as you can see, this is going to help you kind of figure out your year. All the resources you saw there, you'll be able to find on the curriculum map, so don't feel like you have to come back here for anything in particular. Okay, that's it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one.